Hi, I wanted to take just a minute today and chat with all of you about vaccine myths. Now, I know there are a lot of you out there where no matter what I say, it's not going to make a difference, and you're not going to get the vaccine. I can tell you what we're seeing in the hospital right now is absolutely heartbreaking, particularly with some of the younger individuals that have passed away recently. So, unfortunately, I know there's some people I'm just never going to reach with this message, but if there's anybody out there on the fence or someone that just has a particular question or concern that I can address, then maybe this message will do some good. So I wanted to just address a few myths, a few concerns that I've heard from my patients and just address them head on to see if, again, I can help anyone out there, or maybe you have a loved one that you're talking to and there's something in this message that would be beneficial for them. So the first thing that I hear a lot of people talking about is that the vaccine isn't safe because it was developed so rapidly. When we think about risk and clinical trials, there's two things we look at. It's person years. So that's the number of, it's time, but it's also the number of patients. And then that product is sort of the duration of information that we have available on safety data. And because we have had so many people vaccinated and millions, and the vaccine has been out over a year now, we have millions of person years of experience available on the vaccines that are currently being offered in the United States. And so I can tell you with high certainty that the risk of severe side effects is incredibly low. I want all of you to remember that we get a new flu vaccine every single year. It's not identical. The platform's the same, but the strain is different every year. So this concept of new vaccine actually isn't new. And so again, maybe there's someone out there who where that information will provide you a little bit of comfort. The second myth or thing I hear from patients is, well, I had COVID, so I don't need the COVID vaccine. One issue is that it's unclear how long protection will last. I do know multiple people who have unfortunately had COVID more than once. And we don't always know that even if you do have some protection, that getting COVID the second time isn't going to be more severe. The strains are changing constantly. People's health is changing constantly. And I think, finally, there is still risk of transmission that is reduced with getting the vaccine. So I think, again, because of individuals with multiple infections that I've seen, the other thing is that with vaccinations, we've got boosters. So we can continue, and I suspect there will be more boosters, but we can continue to keep that your immune system fresh with its memory with respect to being able to fight COVID. The other thing I've heard, so myth number 3, is that there are people with breakthrough infections, so the vaccine doesn't work. It is true that the vaccine does not appear to be quite as efficacious against some of the newer variants, such as Omicron, as it was against prior variants. Having said that, we've got really good data now. In fact, the University of Michigan publishes it on a pretty frequent basis, that the vaccines, however, still are helping to reduce the risk for severe infection. So when you look at people that are in the hospital currently who are quite sick, it is typically the unvaccinated or some of our vaccinated individuals who we knew were higher risk to begin with because of immunocompromised conditions. We have very few really sick people who have been vaccinated that don't have another reason to be at high risk for COVID. So I think that it's clear the vaccines really still are doing their job with respect to preventing against severe disease. Myth number 4 that I hear is that children don't get sick with COVID. If you look at the hospitalization rates for children, in the last year, they've gone up significantly over, say, at the very, very beginning of the pandemic. We know not only do children get sick, but they're also vectors for the virus, which means they are now one of the prime groups that's actually transmitting the virus to other people. So if you want to stop that infectious spread, getting children vaccinated makes a lot of sense. Myth number 5 that I've heard is I don't want to get the vaccine because it will alter my DNA. So just to be clear, the two vaccines most widely in use in the United States right now are the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. They are made out of RNA. We have RNA in all of our cells. These are temporary messages that tell our cells which proteins to make. And these vaccines tell the body to at least temporarily make spike protein so that the body can make the spike protein and the immune cells can recognize spike protein and know what to do next time they see it. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of, I think, misunderstanding about what mRNA does in the body and its potentially long lasting effects. Messenger RNA is not built to stick around very long. By nature, it gets degraded by the body fairly quickly. The other thing you may not realize is that the virus itself is made out of RNA. So if you get COVID, you will have millions of your own cells infected with foreign RNA. That's what happens when you get COVID. So at least in my book, better to have a small amount of messenger RNA that's quickly degraded. It tells my body to make some important proteins and then goes away, as opposed to having my body flooded with viral RNA, which, by the way, studies are now suggesting may persist in various parts of the body for months after infection. And finally, I think, I guess myth number 6 that I've heard, and is an unfortunate one, is that some people seem to think that the vaccines will cause miscarriages or infertility. Again, we have so much safety data now in pregnant women, in women that have had babies, and there is zero evidence at this point that the vaccines increase the risk for infertility or miscarriage. So I hope there was a nugget of information in this quick video that resonates with you.